Steeler Nation, we are back for another great episode of the Sick Podcast Steeler Crazy. The draft is among us. It is an exciting time. All the hard work, as our guest just told us off air. Time to enjoy the fruits of our labor. I am Jay York Football. Alongside of me, mic'd up Sports One, looking dapper. I always tell you, look like you're about to sell me a car. Maybe some sports memorabilia. You never know, but you're looking dapper over there.
Those what is it? Bumblebees from Transformers. That would be hard in the Steel City, that's for sure. But you said it, man. It's finally here. We've talked about it for months. I feel like I've changed my mock draft 3 times in the last 24 hours. It's like a bracket. Like, you overthink it, you switch it up, and it's just for shits and giggles for somebody like me anyways. But my brain is going to explode at this point. So, yeah, we're ready to get it underway.
Well, hey, we have a great guest, so Shane, let's take it to the end zone.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Aaron Smith shields. Flacco. Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This man does a ton of excellent fantasy football work, and he's a draft analyst as well. Ties those together, of course, through Fantasy Life. We're excited to bring him in. Find him on X at Thor KU. It is our guy, Thor Nystrom. Thor, what is up, man?
How you guys doing? We're only 48 hours away, so getting excited.
Yeah, thank goodness. It's funny because you wait all this time for the draft, and then the week gets here, and I'm just like, I'm sick of hearing these first round names at the very least, ready for this damn thing to get underway. But obviously you've scouted a lot of these guys, and the hot button topic in Pittsburgh, as you know, is quarterback. And so want to get your opinion right now. We know Cam Ward obviously will be a Titan and off the board, but want to get your thoughts on Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart, maybe just a little bit about both of them.
Shedeur Sanders, my quarterback 1 in the class. I have 1 spot ahead of Cam Ward on my overall board, 8 for Shedeur, 9 for Cam Ward. There's a lot of bad narratives with Shedeur Sanders. You just look at their body of work on film, him against Cam Ward. Shedeur Sanders was the better quarterback over his career. Statistically, last year, Cam Ward was superior. That was in a far superior situation. You had 3 NFL receivers starting that are in this class. A 2nd-round tight end, Elijah Arroyo. 3rd round probably back, and Damian Martinez might be a 2nd, and a good offensive line. And Shedeur Sanders, terrible offensive line, no semblance of a running game. Defense knew what was coming. I mean, yeah, you're throwing to Travis Hunter, but again, you have defenses that are teeing off on a crappy offensive line, explaining the preponderance of pressures there. And that's a guy who takes care of the ball, despite Shedeur Sanders, despite the heavy pressure that he was under in college. Turnover worthy play rate last year, 1/3 that of Cam Ward. And again, the far less advantageous situation. Love Shedeur Sanders' placement, accuracy, and taking care of the football. That dichotomy, that will translate. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a good quarterback in the NFL for a long time.
That makes 2 of us, brother. That makes 2 of us, and it definitely is not a popular take. That's for sure. What about the other guy who should go around that area, Jackson Dart? What are your thoughts?
Jackson Dart, like in terms of physical ability and the production in college and the pedigree, et cetera, justifies that slot for sure. Whether he exceeds it or whether he's a bust, that's dependent on something that we don't have an answer to. It's a black box of his evaluation, which is decision making after the snap when the bullets are flying. It's something he didn't have to do in college. And that is a scary thing with quarterback evaluation. The system that Jackson Dart played, at Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin, it's a lot of pre-delineated reads based on the look of the defense, and there was a lot of throwing to the first read. And a lot of times when the first read wasn't there, it was tuck and run, which is sort of similar to Sam Howell. His year coming out, that was the Phil Longo offense. There were similarities there, not the same thing, but there are similarities there. Get concerned when a quarterback prospect that we're being told is a high-end quarterback prospect, when their second option on most passing plays was to tuck and run. Now, it does speak to the college system as much as he can't do this. That being said, the thing that we don't know if he can do is the thing that's most important in the NFL, decision making for a quarterback after the snap, obviously. So just because I don't know about that with Dart, I thought the only fair thing, I can't say he can't do it, and I can't say that he can do it. So to me, the only way that you do that is you sort of split the baby. You try to reflect both the upside, but then also the risk. And so for me, I put him somewhere like 42 on my big board. I would take him in the top half of the second. I probably couldn't do it at the end of the first, but the Steelers, the situation they're in, and then it being the quarterback position, you do get a tax there. And I do think that Dart's a good fit for Smith's offense. You know, you have a lot of the play action and then throwing deep. Smith likes quarterback mobility as well. So maybe he feels like, you know, this is a guy I can work with, and they have more information on the kid, right? Like, I'm not involved with the interviews and stuff like that. Like, maybe they have different things where they can ask guys like that coming out of those systems, and they can feel better or worse about their ability to develop that skill. But yeah, that's how I see Jackson Dart.
We're hanging out with Thor Nystrom here on the Sick Podcast. Steelers. Crazy. I got one more before I kick it over to JY. The ultimate wild card. You've heard all the cliches. The lottery ticket. Jalen Milroe is heading to Green Bay. That kind of came out of nowhere. Where do you think he's drafted? Where do you think he deserves to be drafted?
I have him one spot behind Dart on my board. Although I go back and forth on that minute to minute. So that was just literally a second I turned that board in. But you know, they're right around each other, but for different reasons. It's the same thing of, if this guy hits, it's probably going to be one of the 5 most valuable players in this class, maybe top 3. And if he doesn't, that you just torched a pick. Obviously different things there with Milroe. It's, can you get him to acceptable or sufficient, at least in putting? I comp him to Happy Gilmore because he hits the ball a country mile and he can't putt. One of the best deep ball throwers we've seen coming into the NFL past decade, past 15 years. Look at the numbers, look at the film, look at whatever you want with that. Tremendous arm, feathery touchdown field. That stuff's great. And he's also going to be one of the best scramblers that the NFL has ever seen if he can get on the field. Those two things are real cool. He is terrible throwing short and intermediate. One of the worst, you know, potential first-round prospects that we have seen at that ever. Right, the last 2 years on throws within 19 yards of the line of scrimmage is a wild stat. Probably the wildest stat in the entire draft. Throws within 19 yards of the line of scrimmage. Jalen Milroe had an even TD-INT ratio the last 2 years. It throws 20 plus. Like I said, guy's one of the best we've seen coming to the NFL long time. And the scrambling speaks for itself. You already see the anonymous scouting quotes. That's all true. He's a dominant rusher. Very, very scary. He got the 4.4 flat. I believe it was 4.4 flat at the pro day. And he was annoyed by that because he runs in the high 4.3s. You know, just missed by that a little bit, but like in a big package, you know, obviously that kid's over 220 pounds. It runs with a little bit of power too. But yeah, it's just, can you teach him those timing concepts? And not like he's going to be like, you know, the best in the NFL at it. You don't need that. You just need to give him the hockey stick putter like Happy. And then he doesn't need to be the best putter on the tour. He's the best driver on the tour, right? Like, you just need to get him so we're not 6-putting every hole. And then the defense can load up and he becomes easy to defend. So can you figure that stuff? And I'm talking about stuff like, he needs to see the receiver open, or it be the obvious one-on-one downfield. That's why he's so good with that. It's like, all right, one-on-one, we're dialing it up. But like the anticipatory passing thing, like the thing of like the tight end's going to chip, and then he's going to 7 yards upfield, put his foot in the dirt, and then he's veering towards the sideline. And the second he turns his head around, that ball needs to be right there for him, right on his hands, right there. Some a guy who's really good at this in this class, but I don't think he's a good quarterback prospect overall is Quinn Ewers, because Quinn Ewers stinks at all the other stuff. But he can do that thing, right? Like Sarkisian could count on him to do that. Gunnar Helm could count on him to do it. It explains Gunnar Helm's production last year. But Milroe, can you get any, again, viability with him in that part of the field? Can you get him to take some? Can you get him to layer throw? Right? Can we stop throwing fastballs every time when we're within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage? It's that sort of stuff. Can you work with them? We'll find out. But yeah, the ceiling there extremely high, obviously.
It's like a basketball player shooting free throws. Dude, just shoot it underhand. Well,
yeah.
Why not? Just go ahead underhand. Change it up. Go ahead.
Exactly.
What are other positions of need for the Steelers? Some guys off the top of your head that you can think of that might fit?
Running back for sure. I don't think the first round probably ain't going to work for that because obviously Gentry would be long gone. The latest that Hampton will go, it's 20. So Hampton's not going to get down to the slot either. And then I know that they value the running back position, but it's like, are you going to trade up for one? Especially in this running back class that could be historically stacked. Yeah. Like, so why would you pick in this year to go hog wild like that? I think that's probably more of a day two thing. And then you can get the mix and match guy with Jalen Warren as far as that goes. But yeah, I think they're going to go a different direction in round one. But I would definitely put running back up there. And like I said, I think that's going to be a priority on day two.
Yeah. The mock drafts that we've all been seeing have been pretty consistent. What would you say, just hypothetically speaking, what would throw it off? And I just think that there's going to be a lot of trades in this draft. But it just seems from outside looking in that they've been pretty consistent. What can you see a big surprise on draft night?
Well, if you get into the scenario where, if indeed they do like Jackson Dart, but then they get preempted on that earliest that he could go, Jackson Dart would be 9 to the Saints. There is a little bit of smoke there, but, we'll see. But like if, let's say he is a target and then he's gone and then indeed Hampton's gone, I think other positions, would you pull up one of those, slot receivers? Obviously, you already improved the wide receiver core. Do you want to make it, 3 deep with the interesting guys? I do think, every team certainly not a fit for Luther Burden. I actually feel like he'd be a good one here. Luther Burden needs 2 really good boundary receivers, and then he gets all the intermediate space that he wants, and that would certainly be the case here. Offensive tackle could be another one. Maybe safety if you're going a little bit off the grid. But would you take starts there? Maybe if it's a bad scenario. But I think that's when they're going to listen to phone calls. You might have some teams early second round looking to move up that point. So. But yeah, I would, of course, my money would be on offensive skill for the Steelers in that slot.
Yeah, I have one more question, and I hate to, talk about this, but obviously it's a big topic in Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan said that doesn't play into any of their draft narratives that they have going on, but just kind of talk about, that whole saga. And we all know how Aaron Rodgers is. He likes to prolong everything. Can you see a decision being made, or do you think that ship is sailed? Where are you at on that right now?
The Steelers have a lot more patience than me. Rodgers, he's not good anymore. Last year, the Jets, they went into the season as I love it, the revisionist history, on it. It's like, oh, he didn't have a lot of talent around him, and like, but okay. Breece Hall, they had 2 other running backs that were absolutely playable. They had the really good receiving core. Literally everyone that Aaron Rodgers wanted to sign to the roster was signed. The play caller he wanted, everything he wanted. And then in the sports books, they were one of the AFC's favorites to be the representative of the AFC in the Super Bowl. But all of a sudden, when it doesn't work out and they're trash, it's because of everybody else and not Aaron. Get out of here. That guy's got the world's largest fork sticking out of his back. Now, the Steelers, your quarterback situation is such where, sure, like if you want to play for $10 million next year, come on down, my man. We think you're probably going to win even in the state you are right now, we think you're probably going to win our starting quarterback job. I give them a deadline of you got until noon on Thursday. The offer's on the table. We have faxed it over. You fax it back with your signature by Thursday at noon, or good luck to you. We will not be signing you. I would turn the dynamic of this thing. Aaron Rodgers waiting around for a quarterback to get injured in a more advantageous situation so he can waltz in and make in the situation, make him look better than he is. My patience for that, if I was the Steelers, would be at 0 at this point. Yeah. So that's how I would play it. Again, like seems like for the money is the best option the Steelers have right now. So I'm not saying like, but like, bro, let's hurry this along. We're not waiting around for you forever. I give them the deadline of Thursday. I know what the Steelers are saying publicly. Maybe that's the truth, but for me, it would be different.
Yeah, and Tomlin or GM Khan will give that deadline, sadly. But if somebody tells him to buzz off, it'll be Art Rooney. So that's that's ultimately, I think, where the decision will lie. Dude, this has been awesome. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us talking black and gold. We're excited to keep up with the coverage. Where can everybody find you? What else we got coming up?
You can find my work at fantasylife.com. I have the Thor 500 out, my 500 player big board with 500 player comparisons. That's out there. And then you can find me on Twitter at ThorKU.
Appreciate it, man.
Keep up the good content. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it.
So many layers to so many things happening now, from just the Steelers casually going in, taking a defensive lineman and getting on with their day. And now it's Shedeur Sanders is the favorite. Jackson Dart, people are obviously talking about him. Could Jalen Milroe sneak into the first round? So I was writing about it the other day that the draft kind of feels like boring this year. Like there are a lot of, it doesn't have as much hype as past seasons around like the top 10, top 15, because I don't think like the skill players are as good. Like it's just Cam Ward, Genty, and a few other guys. But the Steelers are not boring. They're one of like 2 or 3 teams in this draft that if you turn on national television, ESPN, NFL Network, guess what they're talking about? They're talking about the Steelers. So it's going to give everybody a heart attack. We're all in pins and needles, but at least, I don't think it's going to be a draft where people are going to be falling asleep at 10 p.m. before the Steelers pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I had to pick right now, obviously I have a busy week. I know we're going to continue the draft coverage. If you are in Pittsburgh, I wanted to say this too. I'm going to be down at the Rivers Casino with Real Draft Nation. Doors open at 6. Just a bunch of good stuff going on with those guys. So make sure you check it out, get some tickets and join us. But I would say right now, I don't know, 4 months ago, I would have said anyone was crazy, but I'm really getting the vibes that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. I think that's why I honestly think that could be the holdup, that the Aaron Rodgers things isn't happening and the Steelers just like to, conduct business like they do. I don't love it. I don't hate it, but after having someone like that on and kind of saying, when you think about it, I think that he didn't have that good of a team in Colorado and still was able to put up the numbers that he did and be a dynamic player. So, and I don't really think, Dion, everyone's like, well, his dad's going to be coaching. So, I mean, what do they think that, Mike Tomlin's going to let him on the sideline? I just think that, I think it could be a good pick. I don't know if it will work out. Like I said, drafted Kenny Pickett. That didn't work out. Maybe this will work out, or maybe the third time's the charm. We'll see, or if they go a different direction. But I think that I'm leaning towards it. Shedeur Sanders is going to be in the black and gold. I tweeted it out last week. So that's just my first round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now.
Yeah, Omar Khan, I think, said something really interesting today. When asked about the quarterback room, he didn't give like the politically correct answer. He could have just said, yeah, we're good. We love Mason Rudolph. Skylar Thompson's in the room. Whatever happens. We have our guys that we like. He was like, we're adding 2 more quarterbacks. He was like, we want to go in with 4. And so, where they come from, who knows at this point, but you have to imagine draft, free agency, or a trade, maybe a guy like Kirk Cousins or Sam Howell. But that right there was very interesting to me. They're going to draft 1 at some point, that's for sure. And then I'd imagine they find another one, obviously, because he was pretty adamant that they'll have 4. So who those 2 will be, we don't know. I'll guess Rodgers, and I'm still going with maybe a later round pick like Quinn Ewers. I know that he mentioned him, or Will Howard, but that could change in like 10 minutes. So we'll keep our fingers on the pulse.
Sounds good. Well, like I said, we'll be rocking and rolling with draft coverage and content all week long. So make sure you subscribe to all of our channels, wherever you listen to your podcast, as well as X, Twitter, whatever they call it nowadays. I'm still calling it Twitter. But yeah, it's been another great episode. We had some really, really, really good draft guys on this year. It's been fun, and I know you love this time of year especially. So. Before we go, how many mock drafts are you up to now? Are you done? Are you?
I have my final one on BehindTheSteelCurtain.com if you guys want to check it out. But Mike Tomlin, so I had Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle from Michigan, going to the Steelers, And then Tomlin and Khan come out today and say that they don't think nose tackles are as valuable in today's NFL, and I want to change it again. So I feel like check back Thursday, because this thing changes all the time. And Thursday, probably at, when does the draft start? 8 o'clock. I'll probably make my final pick at 7:58 as I continue to try and gather as much information as possible.
Crazy. All right. Well, it's been another great one. Shane, take it away.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.